I'm your host, John Light, founder and CEO, president, chief bottle washer, even of Sabretooth Recruiting. And today I'm very lucky because I've got a guy who is just chest deep in the crypto space, who's going to answer a lot of questions for us, I hope, today. So, Vex, founder and CEO of Revuto, thanks so much for joining us today.
Exactly. Thank you, John, for having me here today. And thank you for the nice introduction. So as you said, yeah, I'm deeply in crypto since 2017, but most importantly, I'm the founder and CEO of Revuto, the app that should save millions to people on their subscription payments.
Oh, interesting. Well, I'll tell you what, saving money is always a big deal, right? I mean, there's two things you can do. You can earn more or you can keep more, right? Then there's spending is in between it and everything else. So I know you've been in this since 17 or so. Why don't you give us like a 90-second rundown of your journey and what led you to found Revuto in your career
That's
path?
a good question. So in 2017, I was actually running my previous startup, and I spent 3 years trying to raise money in San Francisco. And during that time, I was paying to run my business a lot of those things, tools on subscription basis, like on a monthly basis. And then I figured out also, being in the States, I was paying a lot of things with my debit or credit cards, different cards, all kind of things, not only to run my business, but, to stream the services, to, like the commute, to go to cinema, to, work out and everything. And I figured out, that I lost track of to whom, how much, when, and with what I was paying for. And that was my personal pain. And then I asked around my friends, if they have a similar problem, like using all kind of different debit or credit cards, business or private cards, fintech cards, neobanks. And, I said, there should be something to help people to manage all those payments in one single app. And that's how, the idea to create Revuto came alive.
Interesting. So talking about Revuto, if you were going to define the biggest problem that your company solves, what is that? I mean, where do you point to and say that is the one thing we excel at?
Yeah, that's a good question. So first of all, people are losing a lot of money on free trial traps. We want to prevent that. So we usually tend to try something out and give the number of our debit card or credit card for that free trial, and then we forget to unsubscribe on time, and that's how we lose money. Also, we tend to pay for things that we don't use. So, even if we are talking about Netflix, and people sometimes travel, they go to vacation, why would you pay for something that you're not using if those services are prepaid services? That means that you prepay for the next billing cycle, and you don't necessarily have to pay every billing cycle. The second thing is privacy, of course, because sometimes people don't want to use their own, like the card that they get, paid, and where they hold a lot of money to pre-authorize those cards with the service providers. And then also, we want to allow people also to easily modulate, how they pay for something. That's also where the crypto comes into the play. So we are combining like the Web3 space with debit cards, so people can use crypto to make a top-ups and pay for their subscription, but also use decentralized financial products to cover those, I would say, rather small monthly expenses. So that's in a nutshell. Although we plan to also offer buy now pay later feature and some other great features where you can actually even like prepay with us to actually gift somebody like 3 months of Netflix or 3 months of or Adobe Creative Suite or something like that. So we want to also attack that gift card market with what we have.
Okay, so I got to ask something here because this is intriguing to me. Because here, in the U.S., and I'm sure it's this way all around the world, you can get on TV or on the web or whatever, and somebody shows you an advertisement, and we're going to manage your subscriptions. I think Experian has one, which is a big brand name, and there are others, but this is the only one that I've heard where you're levering Web3, crypto, debit cards to pay things. And I can see some really intriguing possibilities with this, to the good and to the bad. So I'm curious, how are you navigating something that's kind of a frontier, right? How are you navigating that through the fact that you have a lot of jurisdictions that'll be more amenable than others might be. I think it's brilliant, by the way, because I think a person should be able to lever their entirety of their balance sheet, their assets. But how in the world are you approaching that?
Yeah, thank you very much for asking the right questions. So first of all, I think that we are unique in a way that we are focusing on a consumer market, on people who are actually using their cards to pay for those, like as I said, like rather small subscriptions. Although people, we have there is a fact, information that people underestimate how much they pay for their subscription on a monthly basis by 2.5x, which is
No
a
kidding.
huge amount. So
Yeah.
basically, we don't know, what we are paying for. But secondly, we are just dealing with the prepaid services. So we are not gonna help you like some other maybe services which are gonna cut down your expenses on, I don't know, like contracts of 1 year or 2 year to use some service. Secondly, as you said, as you mentioned, the Web3 or crypto is a big part of our ecosystem, because I see crypto coming, and especially younger population is keen to more risk, and they're using crypto. They're familiar with those like new technologies. So, for instance, one of the use cases or one of the setups that we want to show the people how they actually can leverage the crypto is to tell them, hey, listen, we see that you're spending $60 a month on paying for your subscriptions. Maybe it's better to buy a certain amount of crypto, invest in crypto, and then lock up that crypto for a certain period of time. We call that staking in crypto, and then use the interest rate that we give you or some other company gives you on locking up that crypto to actually cover on a monthly basis those expenses. So you in crypto, that interest rate, we call it the yield. So you can use yield to cover your monthly subscription expenses, and basically that's how you don't use your own funds, you don't spend money to pay for something, and by doing that also you in parallel invest in crypto, which can end up good for you. Of course, there are some risks, as you said, as you mentioned.
Sure.
It can go both ways. That's included, but that's at least something that we wanna offer. And what is also interesting about us is that we are more focused on non-crypto users, on not crypto savvy users, and we want to invite them in world of Web3 through those, I would say, rather easy to use products. So that's again just one of examples how we can leverage crypto.
Interesting. Very interesting, because, as technology advances, I think one of the things that made blockchain a possibility is the fact that the technology was there. The algorithms were developed, and you've got randomization, you've got all these security measures built in. It tracks everything discretely. It's pretty remarkable in that respect that each one is unique. And I sit back and I listen to this because I don't know how old you are, but I know I'm probably part of an older generation. I'm what in the U.S. we call a Gen X, right? And we're kind of the middle of the hourglass in the demographic evolution in the States. And every time I hear Web3, I hear crypto, and I hear all this, I kind of go, I give it pause, because I've never been one. I don't mind taking a risk with me personally. I mean, I'll start a business. I'm founded this business. I've done it before. Have a lot of fun with it and a lot of anxiety, but it's all part of the ride, right? But when you start dealing with something like crypto, it's almost like you're stepping off the edge of the mountain into a canyon, and you're hoping that it's a soft landing, but you don't know. It could be a really brutal landing, because it's so novel, it's so new for so much of the population around the world. How do you approach educating people and bringing them in? And I think you've already alluded to this a little bit, but how do you pull people into that in a way that they feel comfortable or safe, secure doing it?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I don't know how to precisely answer that, because obviously crypto is up and down game. Although
Right.
we are very early, and if you look historically, especially those like more popular cryptocurrencies, they all go up in value. Okay, in between, we have like
Just like a stock
dips and
market, up
everything.
and down, right?
But yeah, exactly. But if you look at an S&P 500, also it had like ups and downs. But in general, people, if they hold long enough, they're gonna earn money. The same is with the Bitcoin. Bitcoin goes up and down. But if you've been investing in Bitcoin, even like in 2017 when it was 18,000 and then it went all the way down to 3,000, you would still be very good today when it's about like 100,000. So
Wow, yeah.
yeah, the same goes like with all those, like I would say, top cryptocurrencies, most popular. Of course, some of them, are more risky assets, more volatile, but this all comes with the industry. Also, the best way how to actually learn about the crypto and the risks is to invest your own funds, not necessarily a lot, but small amount, and then to feel the pain on yourself when things go maybe not in the right direction. That's how you learn the best. I'm not saying like losing money is the good way to learn, but in a way having skin in a game, trying out those services that actually raises your attention about the industry and where it's heading and what's going on. You start tracking things, you start learning, exploring, and that at least is how I see it.
Yeah.
We of course, we cannot be responsible for what people do with their own funds. As I said, we are here to try to save people money, not to actually make them lose money. But obviously there are some risks. Although in some setups that we're gonna launch soon, as I said, like for example, buy now pay later, which is also built on crypto, people are gonna be able to use stable coins, which are like the price of the stable coin is stable. It's usually connected or correlated to US dollar or euro in Europe. And then we're gonna allow them to stake stable coins to earn yield. What that means, by staking those, we call it micro lending and borrowing pools, they're gonna be providing liquidity for those who gonna be taking small loans to pay something on a due date, even if they don't have their own funds. Those small loans have to be returned within 30 days. They pay a fee of 8% on that loan, and we transfer that fee to those who are providing liquidity. So basically, you're borrowing, lending out your money to earn interest rate, and this is something that should be much less risky.
So you're saying,
Yeah.
hang on, tap the brakes for a second. If I'm hearing this right, and I got a follow-up question to this. I'm hearing this right. You're basically saying you've got in your platform, you're building in the ability for person A to cleanly loan money to a stranger, person B,
Exactly.
and carry some micro level of risk and return that you would see if you were a bank. And my follow-on to that is, where in the world can you do that without running afoul of the banking regulations,
Yeah, that's interesting about the crypto. Crypto is still in most part of the world is unregulated thing, and if you keep things, we call it decentralized. If you let people to borrow money or send money into those mechanisms through their own non-custodial wallets, so you're not required to be regulated. Of course, it all depends now on the countries where we're going to be offering such a service. But in Europe now it's tricky because there is a micro regulation now enforced since like this year, but still it does not cover DeFi. It covers only custodial services, which are in the end regulated. So
Okay.
yeah, crypto still allows us to use such setups to actually offer people or users, I would say, even like advanced financial services,
No kidding.
and to earn money. Like it's like yields in crypto and stable coins are on in general between 6, 8, 10, sometimes even more percent per year, which is unimaginable in a traditional financial system. Banks are not going to give you such a huge yield. You either need to invest money in different funds or ETFs or S&P and things like that.
Man, I tell you what, I don't know, I'm probably up to about 30 some odd questions in my head right now. But we're running out of time for this show. Vex, we might have to do a second one, maybe a third, to follow up on some of this. But let me ask you this. If someone wants to find you and get in contact with you or find Revuto, what's the best way to make that happen?
Yeah, so the best way to make that happen is actually to go to Apple Store or Google Play Store and download the app. Revuto is the mobile app platform only, so we don't have a web app or something like that. So far we have like 400,000 registered users across the globe. Most of them come from the Europe economic area. We are from the Europe. We are now launching with Visa those virtual debit cards for subscription payments. So again, if somebody is interested to learn more about Revuto, first of all, download the app, register with us, and then try to follow up our social media channels. We are very active on X, which is a Twitter, X-Twitter, and then also on Telegram. We have a Discord group. A lot of people are, regularly asking questions there. So we have a decent community. That's the answer.
Yeah, and you know what? And for folks who are listening, Vex and I are connected on LinkedIn. So if you're connected with me, it's easy to find him because I guarantee, unless you're waist deep in this stuff, you're going to have questions. And even then, you might have a lot more. But we'll have to hit some of those on another episode. Vex, thanks so much for joining us today.
John, thank you very much. Thank you very much for the opportunity.